Yes, guess who's back? That's right. As you know, it's been a while since I did an episode. I apologize. You guys know where I was, but I couldn't do that because I went 5 days working straight at Comic Con. But before you ask anything, yes, we'll be doing some reviews. We got, of course, Tokyo Pro Wrestling with day 4 of the Tokyo Princess Cup 9. We got, of course, Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, which was some great matches I enjoyed hearing about. And, of course, the latest Stardom event, Midsummer Champions 2022 in Nagoya, where we have, of course, the two leaders of the joint unit, Tam and Saki, in their respective matches, and many other things. And, of course, we cannot forget AEW Dark Elevation. And one more thing, we got some news updates that I believe everybody wants to know what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get this show on the road with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. Now, before I begin with, of course, reviewing what took place in every event, like I said, with Tokyo Pro, Ring of Honor, Stardom, and AEW Dark Elevation, I mentioned before that I was working at the San Diego Comic Con. You may have heard that AEW were there. For the record, I did not see those guys. I was well aware they were there. They did had a panel. I did hear that my good friends from the Level Up Pro Wrestling Academy, they had a surprise visit with Bryan Danielson. I was like a bit surprised. And I heard that he was training with them because, if you guys may know, this coming Wednesday, Bryan Danielson makes his way back to the ring. And it's great that he's going to do that. But I did not see any other thing, any AEW. Oh, I did actually. Now, for those who don't know, my job is required to ensure that there was line control, all of that, what I was doing in my regular job. But on my usual routines, when I'm walking around in my section in the convention center, I stumble upon someone you may know, and he was the first ever AEW World Champion. He's been dubbed as the Demo God, and of course now the Wizard, Chris Jericho. So here's a photo of me with him now. So, yes guys, that's me with Jericho. I did not know he was going to be there, but sadly I did not get no autograph session in case anybody asked me. So, well, the thing is, I have no place to take it, but taking a photo was okay. But here's a fun story that none of you guys may know. Now, since I work security, here's a little great story for all of you. I don't remember what year was this, but this was like years ago. WWE were doing a SmackDown live show at the Pechanga Arena, formerly known as the Sports Arena. I was seated right close by to the ring. I was like on the opposite side of the fans, and right close to me, I see Rey Mysterio's mom. But anyway, the match that was going on, that I remember, was Jericho versus Johnny Nitro. You may know him as John Morrison. So I told this to Jericho when I got my picture. I told him he may not remember this, that I remember he lost the match to John Morrison, and he got mad and he just shoved me like right here in the shoulder. Some people right in front of me were telling me, "Why don't you fight back?" I was like, "With what? You know, what was I supposed to do?" Besides, but he did apologize for that. I said, "Nah, don't worry about it." You know, it was kind of strange. Some people would have said I would have just enjoyed it. But no. But I ran into John Morrison on that particular day, but I did not get no picture with him because the security company that hired the company that I work for were right there. And I did talk to Morrison. I told him about because I told him that, his foot got me right in the knee. But it wasn't like a regular stomp on the knee. It was more like a tap. And it was kind of, he even told me the story about what happened to Dark Sheik, and we had a great time talking. So it was great. But that was sort of thing. But it was great that they were cool about that, and they asked me how do I remember this. I never forget these type of events, even when I'm doing my job. You see, I may not. The thing is, I may not get something out of it, but I do remember some great moments that take place when I'm doing my job. And this is one of those days where I like to share this with everybody. But of course, they were not going to remember this, but they were cool about it that I remember it. So I think that's pretty much it right now. The story of my life. I believe it's time to start with the first review, Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. Okay, so we continue on with Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling with more on the continuation of the Tokyo Princess Cup 9. We're in day 4. So as you know, will determine who will be facing Shoko Nakajima in the tournament. And of course, if Nakajima wins the tournament, we all know the situation. She picks her opponent. However, there was a match that was never put on, that was broadcast. This was like a bit of a dark match, part of the second round of the Princess Cup. We had Shoko Nakajima taking on Mizuki, and from my information, Nakajima won the match. So I don't know why this was not broadcast, but later on Nakajima did wrestle in a tag team match. I'll get to that in a bit. Now, our opening match we had is a singles match. We have Arisu Endo versus Moka Miyamoto. Now, I have watched these two for almost a year, and they have grown so much. I have to say, Arisu Endo is a very impressive wrestler. She has grown. So is Miyamoto. So I just was enjoying how this match was. I was a bit biased on this one because they're both the same level. But I was impressed with Miyamoto when she picked up a nice victory when she submitted Arisu Endo. I thought it was great. Too bad it was not part of the Princess Cup tournament, but it was a good match. Next up, we got tag team action. We got free Wi-Fi consistent of Naoki Kuda and Hikari Noa taking on Kaya Toribami and the resident superhero Hyper Misawa. Now, you all know the type of tricks the Hyper Misawa always does in her matches to ensure she wins. But recent time, I have seen free Wi-Fi. They have been a cohesive tag team for a while, and not only that, they shown. If you guys know this, Hikari Noa has always been of the aggressor, bit of the aggressive because she is, as you guys know, her background. She was into death matches before joining Tokyo Joshi Pro, and looks like Naoki Kakuda actually picked up a bit of the habits of Hikari Noa, but which is great. But it was Kakuda who actually picked up the victory onto Kaya Toribami, and it was over free Wi-Fi, picked up a W. Our next match, we have singles action. We got Haruna Neko taking on Mahito Kiru. Now, Mahito Kiru and Neko, there are two of the wrestlers that we rarely see wins, or we see them here and there, that sort of scenario. But like I said, and previously, I was a bit biased on this one because I wasn't sure how this was going to go. But I have seen Mahito. She has grown a little bit more. Neko as well, but I think Mahito's stepping up a little bit of her game, and it was her who picked up the victory when she did like a somewhat slam onto Neko and picked up the W. Next up, tag team action. We got Raku teaming up with Yuki Inoi. Now, Raku has always wanted to team up with Yuki Inoi. They take on, of course, Maki Ito and Kamifuku. Now these two, they are a formidable force. Now these two are part of the Respect Army, not the Ito Respect. I think the Ito, I don't know, but anyway, these two have always been cohesive a lot, even when they're not together. But it was, of course, Maki Ito that picked up the victory when she applied a sleeper hold, a somewhat of a dragon sleeper onto Raku, picked up the W for her team. Next up, we got Hakuchumu, Miyu Watanabe, and Rika Tatsumi taking on Yuka Sakazaki and Shoko Nakajima. This was a very interesting match because I'm a fan of these two ladies, these two teams. Hakuchumu, they've always been cohesive for a long time, as you know. They have been previous tag champions. Yuka Sakazaki and Shoko Nakajima, we know what they can do. Some say these girls are the pillars of Tokyo Pro. And I thought it was a pretty good one. But, however, it was Shoko Nakajima that picked up the victory onto Miyu Watanabe, and it was over right from there. Now, our last match we have is the second round of the Tokyo Princess Cup 9. We have Pam Adejuku taking on Zuzumi. Now, thought this was a very interesting one because Pam Adejuku actually brought one of those things that you do to catch butterflies, or bees, because Zuzumi acts like a bee. That's why her tag name with Mei Shiruga is called May Be Surprised. Get it? So I thought it was very hilarious. Not to mention her previous tag name with Mirai was B-Stars. So I thought it was great. But Parajuku is a bit outgoing. She's a bit of a wild child. But unfortunately, I have to say, when watching Zuzumi has grown so much. She has been one of those wrestlers you definitely got to pay attention to. And she picked up a hell of a win when she did the cutter on her Adejuku. I mean, Adejuku has grown, but not much like Zuzumi. But it was Zuzumi who picked up the victory, so she goes to the next round. So I was impressed with that. So I can't wait to see what else is going to take place. So, yeah. So that's it, pretty much it with Tokyo Pro. Let's move on with Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor. All right. ROH, Death Before Dishonor. This one took place on the 23rd of July. I did not see this right away. I was, in fact, in Comic-Con working. But I was a bit surprised with the card. Now, I'm referring to because normally of how the title matches are being presented. That's what I'm referring to. I was a bit surprised that they opened up with the ROH World Championship. I have to say it was a good opener. Now, this is not the first time something like this has happened, but it has. But I have to say it was a great moment. We had Claudio Castagnoli taking on Jonathan Gresham. I thought it was rather interesting. I thought Tully Blanchard was going to be there, but no, it was Prince Nana who was, in fact. I will give the reasons of why Tully Blanchard was not there on the news updates, but right now let's just jump into the match. I have to say it was a pretty good match. Now, you would say in a way, yes, Claudio Castagnoli is a big individual, Jonathan Gresham is small. I feel like they flip the script. The script on this one. But I was a bit surprised that Claudio was the one who picked up the win. But we got to keep in mind, Claudio has never given the opportunity to become champion, and I think that kind of puts us in the, maybe it's time for him to become the champion he should have been from the very beginning. Many fans have been upset about that. Not only because I say so. I hear that all the time, even in WWE, but they dropped the ball on that one. So I had to say, great moment. and that means that's another title for the Blackpool Combat Club. Next up, we got the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Champions. Now, to be fair, I have completely lost track of this belts. I did not know. The last champion I knew was Shane Taylor Promotions, but I did not know that the Righteous had these titles. So it became clear. It became Dalton Castle with the boys taking on Righteous. I have to say it was a pretty fun match. Now, I hardly see Dalton Castle team up with the boys, but I have to say it was a pretty good team up. But of course, the only factor in this is Vita Von Starr, who is a member of Righteous. But it was, of course, Dalton Castle that picked up a huge win to become the brand new six-man tag team champions. I didn't think they were going to bring these titles back, but I'm glad that they did because they're part of Ring of Honor. And we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match is the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. Now, this story was built upon knowing Daniel Garcia was accusing Wheeler Yuta as a Daniel Garcia cosplay. And he even says that if he wins the title, he's going to take it to AEW and destroy it. And he's been very disrespectful to the Ring of Honor brand every step of the way. He thinks the Code of Honor is a load of crap. But I have to say, Wheeler Yuta put on a hell of a performance because he has shown what pure wrestling should be. Despite the fact that, he has this new, not attitude, but new direction that he's been taking since joining the Blackpool Combat Club. And not to mention, we did saw former pure champions being the judges, including Josh Woods, who, coincidentally, Wheeler Yuta won that title from. But it was a good match, and it was, of course, Wheeler Yuta that picked up a huge win when he pulled the seatbelt onto Garcia and won the match. And I think this was a huge disappointment for Garcia. So it was great to see that. And not to mention, this is the second time William Regal shows up. He appeared with Claudio's match, and now Wheeler Yuta. So I say this is a good thing for Blackpool Combat Club. Our next match is brother versus brother. El Toro Blanco, Rush, versus Dragon Lee, his little brother. I think this is one of those matches where I think it shows Rush is really willing to put the family aside and just beat the crap out of his brother. I think that shows a lot of character. Now, some people who are not familiarized are saying, they tell you, oh, they're brothers, they're going to play sportsmen. No, not with these two guys. I seen Rush, what he's capable of. He is very aggressive, really dangerous. Not to mention, I remember Silas Young, last year or 2 years ago, he says, Rush has been attacking me, and I tweeted, Rush doesn't care about the rules. You should know that. But I have to say it was a pretty good match, but fortunately, Dragon Lee ended up on the wrong side of the horn, so he lost to his brother that way. Now, there is an obvious question I need to ask myself about this match. I mean, as you know, La Facción Ingobernable continues on in AEW. Does that mean that Dragon Lee will also join his brother? And what about his other brother, Dralistico? I say they should bring everybody in the family, well, only him and his brothers, into this. I think it will be great, but I don't know. That depends on what Tony Khan would seize. Now, our next match is the ROH World Women's Championship between Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez. Now, to be honest with everybody, I knew this was coming sooner or later. Ever since the team up with Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez, something was telling me in the back of my head, Serena Deeb is going to go for that title. She lost to get the AEW Women's title. Why not the ROH Women's title? That's always been clear to me. But when they were doing the team-ups, I knew sooner or later Serena Deeb was going to stab her. And she did. I have to say, these two women put up a hell of a performance. Because you can tell, one person knows exactly what they're thinking. Like, you probably would guess they can see the finishers coming up and a mile away. And I think that tells us they know exactly. But unfortunately, Mercedes Martinez was the one who picked up the victory when she put on the border that her submission, forcing Serena Deeb to win the match. I mean, forcing Serena Deeb to tap out and win the match. And I have to say, it was a good match by Mercedes Martinez. Next up, we have Jay Lethal versus Samoa Joe. Now, this dated back since Super Card of Honor, ever since Jay Lethal started acting like a total prick and this and that. And here comes Samoa Joe, who in fact had enough of Jay Lethal. As you know, Samoa Joe trained Jay Lethal, and now he's like thinking that he will be the one to defeat him. Not to mention that Giant, Satnam Singh, even showed up, tried to make sure, helping hand. Everything that Jay Lethal did to ensure that he was going to win did not work. Even Sanjay Dutt showed up and didn't work either until he put him in that sleeper hole, and boom, Jay Lethal had no other choice but to tap out. And I have to say, it was one hell of a brutal match on both sides. Now, our main event is the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships in a 2 out of 3 falls match. We have the Briscoes, Mark and Jay, taking on the current champions, FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler. I have to say, this is one of the most incredible tag team matches you ever get to witness. I mean, it's one of those matches you definitely can enjoy because anything could possible. But unfortunately, the first fall went to the Briscoes, and then the second fall, FTR. Now, the third fall, it's the crucial one. Who was going to walk out? I was like, holy cow, But it was, of course, Dax Harwood who picked up the win onto Jay Briscoe, allowing themselves to win. I was so happy, and I think this showed what tag team wrestling is all about. And, of course, in the end, we saw Blackpool Combat Club. Now, the obvious question does remain. There's two things. What is this about? Are they inviting them to join them, or they're challenging? I don't know. That is still the obvious question. We don't know what is really going on. Hopefully soon we get the answers why the Blackpool Combat Club came out when the FTR retained the titles. So, I enjoyed Death Before Dishonor. Hopefully the next pay-per-view will be awesome. But let's move on with Stardom. Okie dokie. So right now we have Stardom. This is part of the Midsummer Champions in 2022 in Nagoya. Now we had the other Midsummer Champions event that took place on July 9th, where we will never forget that was the day where Natsupoi betrayed DDM to join Cosmic Angels. Now, there have been several changes in the card. If I mentioned this before on the previous news update that I did a couple of days ago, apparently Waka Tsukiyama was not clear to wrestle. Natsupoi had some injuries that were being looked at. So basically, there has been some changes, but I'll explain to which matches were. The first match, we have Mai Sakurai teaming up with Rina Amikura to take on stars Hanan and Saya Ida. Now, this is a very interesting combination. As you know, Mai Sakurai and Rina Amikura, they both came in from the same promotion, At-Risk Girls. But however, these two are part of the two different units. Rina Amikura represent the Allied Force with colors alongside with Cosmic Angels. Mai Sakurai, who used to be a member of Cosmic Angels, now with EDM. But however, Mai Sakurai knows that she has no other choice but to team up. But the match was kind of interesting because, as I mentioned before on previous times, Rina Mikura, she's a powerhouse. I have to say her moments with Saya Ida kind of went kind of great. They're two powerhouses, despite the fact that Saya Ida's 4'10", I believe. But yeah. But one thing it did show is Mai Sakurai is determined to win the match no matter what. But sadly, it ended in a time limit draw. But the fight continues between both both Mai Sakurai and Saya Ida. Because if you guys know this or not, It was Saida that defeated Masakurai during the Cinderella tournament, so it played out that way. Now, our next match, we have members of Oda Tai, Fukigen Death, teaming with Ruka, taking on the other members of Stars, Momokogo and Mayu Iwatani. Now, I did not see the entire showcase, but I did see what they had for the showcase on YouTube. Gokigen Death made her return, and Momo tried to bring out that part of her. As you know, ever since Gokigen Death was snatched away by Oda Tai last year, became this evil clown. But Momokogo tried to get her back to her clownish ways that she remembers, but nope, it did not work. But fortunately, it was Mayu Iwatani who was able to pick up the victory when she pinned Ruka, giving them a very good match. Now, our first championship match, we have the High Speed Championship with challenger Rina taking on Azumi. Now, as you may remember back in the previous Midsummer Champions event, Rina stomped Azumi right after her match against Momokogo, making her presence known as the next challenger. Now, Rina has always been one of those outspoken young wrestlers. They're saying this is her time. As you know, Rina is a bit more younger than Azumi. She feels that Azumi has lived her usefulness. But I have to say that Rina did put up a hell of a fight, but however, the experience that Azumi has gained over the years have always been paid off until she finally put her away with numero uno, and sadly, Rina did not win to prove her point, as always. Now, our next match is a Captain's Fall 3-way 9-person tag match. Now, there were some changes in this particular match. Prominence, we were expecting in Prominence we had Suzuki, Kurumi Iragi, and Risa Sarah, who played the captain, taking on Queen's Quest, Miyu Amasaki, Hina, and Lady C, who plays captain. This is her first time doing this. Otame Ashida was supposed to be in this match, but due to the injuries that she might have obtained, kind of forced her not to be in. I'm assuming that Lady C might have stepped up to the plate. Taking on Cosmic Angels, Hikari Shimizu, who was supposed to be Natsupoi in this spot, but however, members of Colors did come in to help out, and Hikari was the obvious choice because I know she worked very well with both Mina and Unagi. But Mina in this particular match was the captain. Now, those who never heard of this type of match, this is how it goes. If the opponent pins the captain, the team is officially out. All members. But if you pin the opposing team that is not the captain, the match continues on. So that kind of plays out. But it was Lady C who got pinned. The first time, the entire members were eliminated, leaving Prominence versus Cosmic Angels. Now, keep in mind, Mina and Unagi haven't forgotten the last time they confronted Prominence. Remember, Waka made the challenge against Prominence before months ago, back in May, and now this is more deja vu again, but this time without Waka being involved. So, unfortunately, it was Unagi who got eliminated. And of course, it was Urage who got over the top, but it was Hikari and Mina who were left behind. But it was Suzuki who picked up the win to Mina to allow to this match to end. But it did not end there. As you know, basically Prominence were won, but apparently Cosmic Angels made the decision to get the little payback in the back. So we could see this feud between them is far from over. So we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match is the Artist of Stardom belt. It's the Trios belt. Now, this thing has gone on for a while, since last month, if I believe. Now, keep in mind, Julia was the one who initiated already initiated the challenge last time when she teamed up with Maika, and Masakura was involved, but it did not work in their favor. Oda Tai was able to, in fact, retain the titles, and then later we saw, of course, Stars who felt that they should deserve a shot of those titles but there was an actual three-way um, captain's falls match in Corkin Hall that took place on the 28th of June. But unfortunately, it was DDM, consistent of Julia, Micah, and Himeka, who won it, and they earned the right to have these titles. But however, those particular members did not appear in the press conference because they were still dealing with the betrayal and loss of Natsupoi. But this time, Julia believes that this combination will work. Now, DDM, I've always mentioned that they haven't been the same since Sudi left, but now it's like they're putting themselves through the test. Now, keep in mind, Odatai had played the smart game in these particular matches. They played dirty tactics. They tried to outsmart their opponents. So far, it did work. It was Saki Kashima who was targeted for many reasons. Why? The reason is Saki Kashima has a unique pinfall maneuver that Julia claims it does not work. But Julia had Saki Kashima right in the crosshairs of both Micah and Himeka for the double lariat. It did not work either because Saki Kashima pulled Julia instead, allowing her to pull up her finishing pinfall onto Julia, allowing herself to retain the titles. But of course, Julia protested because she believed this match should have won in their favor. But Rossy Ogawa can't do nothing about it. A pinfall is a pinfall from what he sees. But there's no doubt that this is far from over for Julia, because the way I see it, Julia is desperate right now. DDM has been losing its momentum. Not only that, they lost 3 members in a matter of months. Remember, Sudi left DDM back in March. Mirai joined her back in April. And now this. So that explains a whole lot. So we'll see what happens then. Now our next match we have is the Goddesses of Stardom, the tag titles. Challengers, once again, is God's Eye, Ami Sodi, and Mirai, taking on, once again, FWC. Now, last time these two have confronted each other, it ended with a draw, which was not a satisfaction match from both sides. So, FWC made the choice, let's have a rematch, and they agreed. So they granted this rematch as soon as possible. Now, the obvious question does remain, was this the time where FWC lucks run out? Now, I have witnessed how God's Eye has been gaining a lot of momentum. And not to mention, the last match, they actually put FWC to the test. And that kind of plays out pretty great. But I have to say, this was one of the most brutal and most difficult challenges that FWC has ever been in. But luckily, it was, of course, Azuki who picked up the win out on, I think it was Ami Sodi. I just did not anticipate that. But wow, it was great. But in the post match for the promo, they actually appreciated them. And there's no doubt that those two teams will come across again. But the most interesting thing is, they called out their next challengers, even though one of them was not there. If you guys know what I'm referring to, I'm talking about Natsupoi and Tam Nakano. Apparently, Hazuki has this problem where Natsupoi is calling this a revolution. What revolution? That's what they think. Now, we are yet to hear from Natsupoi and Tam. Now, keep in mind, Tam already has something in her plate, which is the red belt. Natsupoi was not there. She was sent home because of the injuries that she obtained. So we don't know. So we'll be paying attention for the upcoming weeks or month or so, because as you know, we're getting closer and closer to the beginning of 5-Star Grand Prix. So all titles will be put on hold for the time being until this tournament's over. Now our next match is the Wonder of Stardom Championship, aka the white belt, between challengers Saki versus Saya Ida. Now this match was initiated back in Midsummer Champions in the July 9th. Saki initiated the challenge. Saya Kamitani accepted it. So this was a very interesting development, seeing Saki, who is the leader of Colors and part of the allied force with Tam. There was many fans that probably would have hoped that Saki would win because it would be great for Cosmic Angels. So I have to say, Saki put Saya Ida into a very interesting challenge, but unfortunately It ended with, of course, with Saki on the wrong side of the Phoenix Splash, allowing for, you know, Saya Kamitani to retain the title. But I can tell right after the match was over that this is not over with Saki. I know for a fact by the looking at her, she wants another crack at the title. But right now, I believe she has to put that on hold for the time being until the 5-star Grand Prix is over. As I mentioned, she and along with Saya will be involved in that. Now, our main event, we have, of course, the World of Stardom Championship, aka the Red Belt, with challenger Tam Nakano versus Sudi. Now, we all been waiting for quite some time for Tam Nakano to pick up a match for this. We just didn't know when it was going to happen, but it took place back on July 9th. I have to say it was a very brutal match and very interesting development. Like, you saw the fire in Tam's eyes, how she wants this title so bad. Keep in mind, this is a different type of scenario that she had with Julia. Now, Julia's always been cocky, always trying to prove that she is the far more dominant. Now, Sudi, she's always up for a challenge, and she's been waiting for Tam for that long. Julia, the last time, did not want to confront her, so it shows the difference. Sudi's not afraid of challenges, but I always picture that Julia is afraid of it or doesn't want nothing to do with it. But it did not end. I have to say, this match went above and beyond. They even took it all the way to the stage. But Tam, as crazy as she is, she went on top of the monitor, jumped off, landed right on top of Sudi. But it did not end well for Tam because she lost when Sudi picked up a pinfall right onto Tam Nakano to retain the title. But I don't make this is the end for Tam Nakano. She will pursue this belt one way or the other, because as you know, she did the same thing with the white belt. She will pursue that belt no matter what. Now, for Tam, there is possibly the only option she had. The only one of the options she has is to win the 5-star Grand Prix or wait it out a little bit until it happens. So that could happen anyway, but we'll just wait and see what takes place. So I think that's pretty much it what we have with Stardom. I believe it's time to move on to the final segment, AEW Dark Elevation. Okay, our final review is AEW Dark Elevation. We only had 8 matches, but there's certain things that I think I was really impressed. Um, I have to say the last, I'll tell you which matches I really did like. First one, we have Angelico with Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn taking on R.A. Fox, Liam Gray, and Adrian Alanis. Not so much of a big hype, but I can skip to the end. It was, of course, Angelico with the Navarro Death Roll that picked up the victory to Fox, and that ended right there. Next match, we have Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose along with Vicky Rose taking on Vicky Guerrero taking on Angelica Risk and Shalon's Royal. Yeah, the Shalon's Royal. That did not work this time. But it was Marina Shafir who picked up the huge win. I have to say this is becoming a very cohesive tag team now. If AEW did had a women's tag team division, it would have been great. Next up, we got Emi Sakura being accompanied by surprise Balinaki. I did not anticipate, because if you guys knew this with Emi Sakura, she had Lulu Pencil join her, and then of course Mei Shruga, and now it's Balinaki. I was a bit surprised, but it was great. But her opponent is someone we definitely are behind of, is Toni Storm. And I thought it was a good match. I mean, much of the entire match was under the control of Emi Sakura, but Toni Storm overturned it until she applied the pendulum DDT. 1, 2, 3. It's over. Just like that. Next up, we got Chris Statlander taking on Brittany. This one ended with, of course, the brutal knife fever, and Chris Statlander won. Next match, this one was going to be a little difficult. We have Robin Renegade along with her twin sister Charlotte taking on the former AEW Women's Champion Hikaru Shida. I thought this match was pretty great, but of course, we knew sooner or later there's going to play the switcheroo. The referee caught that the moment he realized what was going on. He noticed because Charlotte had her hair straight. Um, Robin had her hair a different look. So that's how you can tell. So that was their biggest mistake. I don't think they ever took a. If you guys ever seen the Bella twins, none of them have like a ponytail. Only if you can tell the difference is the way they were dressing in the later years. But in the early years, you couldn't tell them apart. But it was Hikaru Shida who picked up the win with the Falcon Arrow onto Robin, and it was over right from there. Now, this match right here was very interesting. Now, those who may not been keeping tabs with the tag team rankings, it just revealed by Excalibur that the combination between Dark Order members Uno and 10 has been revealed that they have broken, they cracked the top 5. So they're in the top 5. If they keep this up, there is a possibility they could get a possible tag team championship. And I would love to see that. But they have to go through QT Marshall's, the factory members, Aaron Solo and now Camarado. Now you know how this is going to be. QT Marshall has always been proving that he is the man, that he knows all that. But however, he got caught with the cookie jar, and the referee threw him out. But it was 10 who applied the discus lariat onto Solo, and it was over right from there. This is one of my favorite matches because it showed that this combination of Uno and 10 is very impressive. Now, not to take away his Uno's relationship, tag team relationship with Stu, I have to say this was a very impressive combination. Now, our next match, we have the Socio Stooge, Brandon Cutler, taking on Baron Black. Now, if you have been following Baron Black, he has been winless. He hasn't won a single match in AEW since making his time. Brandon Cutler, on the other hand, he was being such a smartass. He even tried to get away with it, but unfortunately, it did not. Baron Black surprisingly picked up a huge win. I would like to know what the Bucks would think of this loss by Brandon Cutler. I'm sure they're going to punish him even further. Now, our main event, we have, of course, JD Drake of the Wingsmen, or we call him the Blue Collar Brawler, taking on the Japanese rising star, Konosuke Takeshita. Now, for the record here, this will be the last time we'll be seeing him for quite some time. Takeshita will be returning back to Japan because he will be participating in the upcoming big event by DDT Pro Wrestling. This is their version of WrestleMania called Wrestle Peter Pan. He'll be challenging Daisuke Sasaki. So but I have to say this match was amazing. Now, Takeshita has always been one of the most rising wrestlers ever coming out of Japan, and I have to say it was awesome. Not to mention the way he took out, the way JD Drake pulled every stop possible, but it did not stop Takeshita no matter what, until Takeshita pulled up the jumping knee onto him. 1, 2, 3, it's over. And I thought it was impressive. So like I said, this will probably be the last time we'll see him. I'm not sure, but he will be on his way back to Japan to participate in DDT's Wrestle Peter Pan. So I believe that is pretty much it, what we got with AEW Dark Elevation. And I believe it's time to move on to our final thing, which is, of course, news updates. Okay, here are some news updates that I'm willing to talk about what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. As you know, Jungle Kyona will be starting her U.S. tour, as we call it. As you know, I mentioned a few times. There was one that I haven't mentioned yet. She will be, in fact, in Jersey Championship Wrestling for Uncensored on September 10. And her opponent will be none other than Masha Slamovich. This is going to be one hell of a match, But however, if you guys remember not too long ago, it's already been announced that she will be participating with Deadlock Pro Wrestling, DPW. She was already been booked for the 17th of September and the 12th of November. However, it was announced by Deadlock Pro Wrestling that they added another day for her, which is of course on October 15th. So the Deadlock Pro Wrestling fans will be able to see her 3 times in a matter of 3 months. I have to say, ingenious move. So I hopefully we get to see those matches as possible. Now, this was coming out of from Fightful Select about AEW ROH. It's just been revealed. There was something I mentioned on the ROH review with the Death Before Dishonor that Tully Blanchard was not there in the corner of Jonathan Gresham. It was now been told that Tully Blanchard is officially out of AEW due to his ministry commitments. Now, those who have not been aware, Tully Blanchard is a minister. He has commitments. He's done some ministry work. Don't remember where, but he's done that before. So that's the reason he's not there. So it's understandable. We don't know if he'll be back, or we don't know yet. That's still the unanswered question. But related to this matter, it's been told now that Jonathan Gresham has been asking for his release from AEW. Some people say this has something to do with him cussing out Tony Khan. We don't know. But he said that it was a lack of communication. Tony Khan has been keeping up with the wrestlers who are in ROH. That's something that's been unclear. But we'll see what happens. If that's the case, then we'll see what happens. Now, relating to DDT Pro Wrestling, the new KOD Openweight champion, Kasusada Iguchi, has nominated for his next opponent that will be taking place at Wrestle Peter Pan later on in August. He chosen the former champion, Tetsuya Endo. Now, the reason I believe this is good because Tetsuya Endo did not lose the title. He had to relinquish it because of this concussion he obtained at Cyber Fight. And I think Iguchi wants to give him another opportunity, knowing that it's unfair that he had to relinquish the title, but he'll give him a chance to, in fact, regain it. And I think that tells us a lot. Now, as you know, we have tournaments taking place in many of these promotions. Consejo Mundial Lucha Libre, or CMLL, has announced for theirs, called the Grand Prix. This is who they have for the Mexican side that will be participating. We have Volador Jr., Ultimo Guerrero, Soberano Jr., Titan, who you guys seen at the Best of the Super Juniors, Atlantis Jr., Stuka Jr., and Templario. Now, I am familiarized with many of these wrestlers. I'm excited to see what's going to take place. But we are going to have international wrestlers coming by. We do have Tiger Mask all the way from Japan, Matt Taven, Lince Dorado, Robbie Eagles, Rocky Romero, Kenny King, and Oraculo. Now, I don't know who that guy is. I'm very excited to see this. Hopefully I get to see it. I'm not sure. But it's really interesting. Now, if you guys remember on a news updates I posted before returning doing these videos, Vince McMahon has announced his retirement. And it was a bit of surprising. But recently reports have been coming in every direction that WWE stock has been skyrocketing ever since he left. I thought it was interesting how that takes place. Now, you probably ask yourself why it happened. Maybe because the thing is, things have not been going so well with WWE since Vince refuses to acknowledge or see what's been going on and all of this. But also it's been revealed that Triple H is now head of the WWE creative. This is something that I feel we need to discuss a little bit. Those who talk negative shit about Triple H, saying, oh, he sucked at it when he was running NXT, now they're giving him props for that. I'm like, what the hell is this? You guys didn't like him, and now you do? I'm like, it's kind of weird. But I feel right now this is good. But unrelated to Triple H making his return to this, it appears that certain wrestlers who were under the wing of Triple H, who were recruited by him, are happy that he's back. And I think it shows us it's distinct of loyalty with one person. Now, you probably say, why are these wrestlers loyal to Triple H? This is not uncommon. I've seen this type of thing before, but not here in the States. In Japan, all Japan Pro Wrestling had a similar situation. It's all about loyalty to one person. There was 3 exodus that took place in Japan. The first one was Genichiro Tenryu. He left to form his own promotion. Then, of course, there was Misawa, who is the founding father of Pro Wrestling Noah. And, of course, there's Keiji Muto when he started Wrestle 1. And I feel Triple H is that guy. He fits the mold of those 3 individuals, in my opinion. And I think that's the reason that happened. But more to relate it to WWE, what's been going on. I forgot. John Pollock talked about the whole situation that's been going on with WWE. And this is what he posted. The company has made a preliminary determination that certain payments that Vince McMahon agreed to during the period of from 2006 through 2020, including amounts paid and payable future, that were not recorded in WWE consolidated. Financial statements should have been recorded as expenses in the quarters in which those agreements were made. As of date hereof, the company has identified unrecorded expenses totality of approximately $14.6 million. All payments underlying the unrecorded expenses were or will be paid by Vince personally. So it turns out that there was money that's been missing the entire time, like that was not recorded. Now, if you guys don't understand what that means, let me explain that to you. Each payment has been done. You have to record what's the payment for. I don't know shit about that. My mother, on the other hand, she is the treasury of the church we go to. She kind of explained this a little bit with me. You have to keep a note on what's the payments for. Now, it's like this. I'm using this as an example. If my church needs to buy a brand new drum set, let's say it's cost $800. We need to record that saying, what's the $800 for? It's for the new drum set. That's the thing. Those expenses were not recorded. So they're saying that money was not being tracked or what's being used for. So this could lead the reasons why Vince McMahon made the choice to leave, to retire, possibly. But I'm not sure how long this investigation with WWE is going to take place. But all we can do is wait and see what other surprises we don't know yet. Now, we can credit Vince as being a genius as a promoter, but we'll just go from there. What else has been taking place? So I think that's pretty much it. So I believe it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope you guys enjoy my return. As you saw at the beginning, I'm back. That's right. First things first, you probably asked me how am I feeling after working 5 days. To be honest with you, I felt like shit. Reason is I have a bad leg. My leg was killing me the entire time. I felt like I was gonna tap out because my mom was worried about me because, truth to be told, I have worked Comic Cons. Now, have you guys seen my earlier videos from the early times? I did post some photos of myself where I met up with the guys from New Day, various other people that I know. I've already been used, my body was already been used of this, but however, because of the pandemic, things have changed it, and it kind of made my body lose what I had last time. But I was thankful I was able to pull it through. But the funny thing is, my brother was attending Comic-Con. He paid for all 4 days, but he only went to 3 days because he tapped out on day 3. I'm like, my mother was expecting me to tap out, but he's the one who tapped out, and everybody in my church was surprised that I did. So I have to say I enjoyed. Now, some of you probably tell me, how come I didn't see AEW wrestlers up there except for Jericho? To be honest with you, the upper areas where they're doing the panels, I wasn't allowed to go there because the thing is, there was a different group, and I did not want to get in trouble in any way possible. But I have to say, taking a picture with Jericho is more than enough. Hopefully next time things will be a little different. We'll see what happens next year. But right now I'm going to enjoy doing more reviews for everybody. I believe I will be doing the showcase from Stardom. Of course, more on the G1. I will not review the recent ones that took place because it's unfair, but I will keep tabs of what's been going on in the point system with every wrestler that took place from day one all the way to now. That way everybody gets a better understanding what's been taking place. So I think that's it for now. I will be... Oh yeah, and not to mention, since it's Monday, I believe it's Tuesday Wrestling coming up as well. So, I must bid all of you guys adieu. Oh, my bad. That's not what I'm supposed to say. I think I was supposed to say I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.